Alright, we're up to 7 Noahide laws. The second Noahide law, which is the prohibition of blasphemy, and there's some detailed explanations. So down to this part of the series. Okay, blaspheming is the act of cursing the Creator, God, through speech alone. Blasphemy is commonly referred to as blessing God as a substitute to avoid directly expressing the idea of cursing God, our Father in heaven. Blasphemy falls into the category of revenge. The ultimate revenge a man can take against God is to curse him. Blasphemy is seen as the expression of the desire to hurt God, even to erase his existence or murder him. God cannot be hurt nor murdered. He created all of creation. He's invincible, etc., etc. He desired earth as his footstool, as this world as his dwelling place, as his dwelling. So that's man's job, or this is a Jew's job, to make this a dwelling place for God. The prohibition of blasphemy comes to teach us not to speak evil against God, nor nor detract from his exaltedness in any way by intentionally using words to lessen the reverence and faith that are due him. As with any of the universal 7 Noahide laws, before one can be tried in a court of law for having transgressed a law, there must be a witness to the deed who is willing to testify against the accused. Blasphemy is a transgression similar to, but worse than, idolatry. You curse God, who created all, or insult God, or any offense to God, who created all of creation, our Father in heaven. It's like doing the same to all of creation. We come from him. He's great. There's nothing besides God, and you curse him or whatever, you're cursing not just yourself, but all of creation is what you're really putting down. Is the essence that really, that I'm talking about. Idolatry is the act of worshiping a creation and denying the true existence of the Creator God. Blasphemy, on the other hand, is an acknowledgement of his existence, but a denial of his greatness and or his goodness. There are opinions in Jewish areas that state that false oaths or meaningless oaths whereby one invokes the name of God are forbidden under the category of blasphemy. For those explanations on the 7 Noahide laws that might have been lost from the past, so that's why they have these opinions, just to keep everyone on the path the right way. For you to know. An example of a false oath would be for one to take an oath in God's name that a tree is a rock, and a meaningless oath that would be for one to swear in God's name that a tree is a tree. Again, in Jewish areas, this is a difference of opinion as to whether one who delays fulfilling an oath violates the law as well. So I guess it's maybe seen as some way of maybe blaspheming God without actually doing it directly. In other ways, kind of like saying F you in a different way without actually saying it. So honestly, I don't know the answer to that. If it's in the Jewish religion, by the way, a blasphemer is placed under a ban of excommunication and is banned in communication from any members of any area for Jews to know, a part of the Shulchan Aruch, Code of Jewish Law Book. The prohibition of blasphemy is transgressed even if one uses another term for God, for example, another word in substitution, or another word that means meaning to God. Any descriptive term could be anything, as well as a known term like the merciful one, the Father. Any term that means God or doesn't mean God, but really is referring to God. No matter how one curses God, and no matter in what language, the one who transgresses this commandment is subject to the death penalty by a court of law. When I say a court of law, it means a universal 7 Noahide laws observing court, as all courts are supposed to be, in all honesty. That's how things were done since, I'd say things were done like this for about maybe the way it was, you know, ought to be done by the way of people. From what I know, maybe just about a little under 200 years back, they used to do things this way knowingly. Will actually observe the 7 Noahide laws. They lived higher and enjoyed different types of spiritual luxuries that we should enjoy. But hey, look at the technology, right? And combined with the technology now and their spiritual conditions, I say they would have a much better time than most people in the world today. Alright, blasphemy / cursing in different ways. If anyone acknowledges that an idolatry is true, even though he does not serve it, it is as if he reviles and blasphemes the mighty and exalted name of God. Whether a person is an idolater or a blasphemer, it is the same in that both deny God, whether they don't know of his existence either way, or they do. One who blasphemes and instantly retracts his words is nonetheless guilty if he blasphemed in front of witnesses. If he blasphemes in private and his words are heard by no one other than himself and his Creator, let him repent and God will forgive his transgression. One who curses God in the name of idolatry is subject to being attacked and killed by zealots. A zealot is one who serves God with a selfless, passionate love and feels jealous for God's honor. In other words, jealous inside like feeling for God's honor. Who are in turn zealots, held harmless by the law, but one who is not a zealot but seeks retaliation against a transgressor because of a desire for justice must begin proceedings through due process of law against the accused. Reacting to a desecration of God's name, the zealot takes immediate action to stop the desecration. If one has to ponder the situation or ask the opinion of another wiser man than he is in such matters, his hesitation or inquiry takes him out of the category of the zealot, and he is forbidden to take action. In God's image man was created. If by words alone one destroys a favorable picture of a person in another's mind, this is considered killing him, according to a book that teaches the 7 Noahide laws. It doesn't matter whether the destructive words are true or false. By doing this to a man, it can lead you to doing similar to God, blasphemy. This is where it leads. So there's a good indicator on guarding your soul by refraining from this. One quick note I just want to mention is when you have people blaspheming, cursing God, blaspheming God, I'm sure people have, seen it or heard it or felt something like that. I mean, if you remember to the feeling that you had before the person cursed God, blasphemed, etc., if you remember the inner peace that was out in the atmosphere and everything else before this happened, it was a lot better. So this person blasphemed God. He, you could say, created death in a sense into the atmosphere, and people feel down in maybe a little way. Maybe it's unnoticeable, maybe it's noticeable. Depends on how good people are feeling. But the bottom line is, it drags you. If you're vulnerable, and if you, of course, submit inside, giving up on yourself or whatever, it leads you to the grave. I mean, if you're an old person, let's say, and you're really sick, this might really get you sicker, you know? So, we know which path this is going to. So, back then, and, some of the older generations, they took this stuff seriously because they didn't have technology like we have. They didn't have a lot of things. And this is all they had, that inner spiritual um, goodwill type of feeling, you know? So they used to stand up and fight for it before technology came along. I mean, but imagine everybody today stands up for what's right and do what's expected of us as far as the 7 Noahide laws are concerned. Imagine the amazing old feelings that everybody's going to get back. And everybody, I mean, it's a feeling that many people don't remember, honestly, since, I mean, times have changed, you know? A lot of bad people are in bad positions, wicked people, bad positions. They're just killing whoever they want to. High positions. What is this? Seriously. You think our ancestors, the kings of the past, princes, kings, queens, I mean, what about everybody's father, Noah, who everyone descends from? You think he'd be pissed off about this a little bit? Maybe a little bit. For the Jewish side, King David, Queen Bathsheba, King Solomon. I'm sure they would want to lash you for fun just for this shit. If you think it's okay to not say anything about it, to not do anything about it, and not doing what God gave to Noah, 7 Noahide laws, right after the flood happened, to avoid things like this, like a flood, like a torturous flood. And as I learned in the Torah, the water that God sent down and flooded the entire world with was extremely hot. That was like a rectification for them. Heat on earth and heat after their death. You can imagine the path they took with the sexual immorality. Now, speaking about where things head, if anybody in any kind of authoritative like position lets even a little bit go, as far as the 7 Noahide laws go, we already know which path we're heading. Look at the path that the people in the times of Noah headed. Died in a miserable flood. Very hot water. Burning hot water. So it's really time to make a serious change, honestly. So that's all I have to say, because too much happening. Our ancestors would be pretty pissed off if they knew about all this shit that's happening today. People are regarding the 7 Noahide laws as a mental illness. That's what I heard somebody say outside. I said, there's 7 Noahide laws on this and this and this, I'm like, this judge judged someone because he didn't like what he said. It's like the lawyer, in essence, has to be a prostitute to basically make it feel good to the judge what he's saying, and he has to convince the judge's feelings. I mean, what kind of judges are these today? Seriously, I don't even take what the fuck, what do you call it? Whatever judges. I mean, I'll tell you this: anybody who takes judges seriously, I don't care where you got your education from. You are not a dayan. You did not receive the smicha of dayan. You want to know what a judge is? A judge who you can't even league with in any way is a kind of judge who received the smichot in the Jewish religion of Yora Yora and Yora Yora Yadin Yadin. Even they're not corrupt like this. It's a joke. But you want to know what a judge is? That's a judge. No matter who they are, on the inside, even if they're secretly scumbags, they're not gonna act on their own personal feelings when they're sitting inside of a Jewish Supreme Court and they make the decisions. They're not going to care how the court looks. It could be, it could look like a friggin' basement if you want. They're going to do their jobs right. They're going to judge. They do their jobs. Everybody should really make sure, if you feel responsibility from God, you feel like you have an authoritative like position to do something or say something, even act a little bit, you should take responsibility and make sure judges, wherever, do their jobs or get them the hell out of there by saying something. And make sure real judges do their jobs. What is this? You get an education, you throw it out afterwards. You do what you want in the courtroom. What is this? Revenge of the nerds? You paying back cool people for being cool in what? High school? College? Give me a break, Jesus. I mean, cheese and crackers, seriously. What is this? Give me a break. I pity you, judges. Anyway, so this is the way it's done. As far as blasphemy goes. Sorry to get off topic like this. But the 7 Noahide laws, I'm going to point out again, really need to be embraced once and for all in these generations. In this generation, really. The world is reaching a very spiritual, dark, we're actually in a really dark age. Think back 10 years ago, 5 years ago, man, even in Bush's time, it did not feel like this. Let's make this work, please. Heed the mission within your soul. Don't fail your own conscience. Your conscience is going to eat you alive. You forfeit your conscience, get ready for the whole world to eat you alive. Because something's being, so to speak, robbed of good feelings, life, and you go one way or you go the other way. I mean, you stay good, but when you go the wrong way, you go evil, you're doing evil, and you're going to pay for it. So, this is like, to me, in a sense, what is like blasphemy right here. By not following 7 Noahide laws, by not doing the right thing, especially in courts. I personally think it's like saying to God, F you. I think it's like blasphemy, if you ask me. That's all I wanted to say. To blessing God's name.